How's it going, everybody? Let's look into wives in the same way you it's called wives. I'm sorry. In the same way, you wives must accept the authority of your husbands. We're talking about sheep wives, sheep husbands. If you're a sheep wife with a lost sheep / goat husband, because you don't know until they die whether they're a sheep or a goat, because they could be a lost sheep. Lost sheep will be as goats, 98% of the time. I'm not going to get into my tells on pretty much knowing before somebody dies whether they're a goat or not. That's a little too deep. We'll just, stay away from that one. Let me see here now. Took a break for a second. Then, even if some refuse to obey the good news, your godly lives will speak to them without any words. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection, because we were talking about slaves earlier. Now it's wives to husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives. Okay, yeah, it sounds like what it's speaking to. I put it to you like this. If you're a sheep wife and you're married to a lost sheep / goat husband, and he wants to stick the Christmas tree in the house, you don't go, well, okay, you're my husband, so I'll celebrate Christmas with you. Heck no. Okay. So it's not talking on that level. Again, Luke 14:26, King James Version, Bible Gateway. If any man come to me and hate not his father, his mother, his wife, his children, his brethren, his sisters, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. It says, and wife, mother and wife. So that's spouse to spouse. It's wives to husbands, husbands to wives. Same. There's no different. No different. It says if any man, well, what if it's any woman? Then you would flip it around to husband. You got to hate on them. You can't participate in their pagan world. Let's say you're a sheep wife and your goat or / lost sheep husband says, let's swing, let's do 3 ways with people. You don't go, okay, I'm going to obey my husband over here per this Bible verse, or he throws this Bible verse in front. So you get the idea. No, you don't obey everything. That's not what it's talking about. So, in the same way, you wives must accept the authority of your husbands. Then, even if some refuse to obey the good news, so they're not where you're at with the Lord, your godly lives will speak to them without any words. Yeah. Just separate those two as far as you accept the authority of your husband if he's a sheep, as you're a sheep. And if he's not, live a godly life, and that will speak to them. They will be won over by observing your pure and reverent lives. Are you going to win them over? Is the Holy Spirit guaranteeing that your lost sheep / goat husband will come to the Lord automatically just because you're living no. So you just have to be very careful with what you're reading here. that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word, may. That sounds like maybe to me. And there you go. But let's look at it. Luke, am I kidding me right now? G2770. To gain, acquire, to get, metaphor of gain arising from shunning, escaping from evil, to gain one, to gain, to win, to gain, to gain. Ain't nothing maybe about it. They threw in that word, may. So let's keep rolling. They also will be gained without the word, be won by the word, conversation of the wives. Let's read it in the New Living. Your godly lives will speak to them without any words. Then, even if some refuse to obey the good news, your godly lives will speak to them without any words. I like that. It'll speak to them. They will be won over. Conversation of wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear. In other words, while you're living in the Lord's chastisement and scourging, what is that chaste right there about? Why did they throw in just, the word chaste? Where does that come from? I can tell I don't I don't pre these Bible studies. I absolutely wing them all with you watching so you can understand. For whom the Lord loveth, because he doesn't love everybody, he chasteneth and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. How does he receive you? How does Jesus receive you? By what means? Oh boy. So we just messed up over here, didn't we? Jesus said, no man can come to me except the Father which have sent me draw him. I will raise him up on the last day. Jesus said, no man can come unto me except it were given unto him of my Father. So by what means does the Lord receiveth? By the calling of God. They're all God. In other words, for whom God loves, he chastens and scourges every son that he has called. If you endure this chastening, God is dealing with you as if you were one of his sons. For what son is he who the Father chasteneth not? But if ye be without this chastisement, where all of God's sheep are partakers, then ye are bastards and not sons. The chastening, chasteneth, chastisement. In other words, God locks you down. And then it says, and scourgeth. That is a beat. He beats the world out of you. He calls you out of the world. It is a painful process. As you get hated by the world, and then the Lord comforts you. And then you get hated by the world, and the Lord comforts you. So that if any of your husbands are not with the Lord, that by watching the way you carry yourself with your fear and reverence to the truth, that perhaps they will be won over. That's the truth of those first two verses. Whose adorning, let it not be that outward adorning of plaiting the hair and wearing of gold or putting on of apparel. Don't be concerned about outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourselves instead with beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of the gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God. But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in which is not corruptible, even the adornment of the meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God a great price. For after this manner in the old time, the holy woman also, who trusted in God, adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. This is how the holy women of old made themselves beautiful. They put their trust in God and accepted the authority of their husbands, who were what? Also of God. In today's world, if they're not, just carry yourself properly. Don't partake of the pagan world. Don't live any kind of sinful lifestyle just because your husband is. For instance, Sarah obeyed her husband, Abraham, and called him her master. You are her daughters when you do what is right without fear of what your husbands might do. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well, and are not afraid with any amazement. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife, and as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. It really basically, to me, appears that this is sheep talking to sheep about sheep, where both spouses are sheep, both spouses are in the church. But if your husband is just not where you're at all the way through, you're a little bit ahead of him, but he's a sheep. He understands the truth. He's just maybe not quite out of the world as much as you, or he's got a little more of a self-centered, prideful sense. Just stay the course and bring him back up to you. I'm pretty sure that's what we're reading. What do you think? Okay, I think I know where I'm at. In the same way, you husbands, give honor to your wives. Treat your wife with understanding as you live together. She may be the weaker than you are, but she is your equal partner in God's gift of new life. Treat her as you should so your prayers will not be hindered. Well, God's not a magic genie. Prayer changes nothing. Prayer is bowing to the will of the Lord, but it does say, I had it in my head when I went to search, because there's an exact way to put it or you won't find it. God heareth not the prayers of sinners, Bible verse. There we go. John 9:31, King James Version, Bible Gateway. And remember, God knows the things you need before you ask. Jesus said, not my will, Father, your will be done. And when he taught us how to pray, he said, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. It's all about God's will. He says, now we know that God heareth not sinners. Who does God hear? Not the sinners. But if any man be a worshiper of God and doeth his will, him he heareth. And God's will is what you will do. That's why you say, not my will, Father, your will be done. So just know that there's no magic genie there changing things for you. Finally, all of you should be of one mind. The hive mind we were talking about of their world. Their world is an upside down version of our world. Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous, not rendering evil for evil or railing for railing, but contrariwise blessing, knowing that ye are thereunto called, that ye should inherit a blessing. Sympathize with each other, love each other as brothers and sisters, be tenderhearted and keep a humble attitude. Don't repay evil for evil. Don't retaliate with insults when people insult you. Instead, pay them back with a blessing. That is what God has called you to do, and he will grant you his blessing. Let's move on to Daniel. Yesterday's study is a must before you get into this one. And whoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven hath he given into thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over all of them. Thou art this head of gold, Mr. Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar. He's telling Nebuchadnezzar about his dream, but that's okay. You watched yesterday's, you know that. Do not watch Friday Bible study if you have not watched Thursday. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over the earth, and a fourth kingdom shall be as strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh into pieces and subdue all things, and as iron that not breaketh all these, shall it break into pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and the toes, part of the potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave to one another. The seed's not mixing. It's not mixing with man's seed. The human host will die off, and the fallen angel will survive in the body as the human host dies off. That's why those that take the mark get eternal torment day and night forever and ever, because they're talking about the fallen angels. Even as iron is not mixed with clay, there is only one other time other than taking the mark where it says we'll receive eternal torment day and night forever and ever, and that's the beast, the false prophet, and Satan. Because the beast and the false prophet are also human bodies that have been completely possessed by the fallen angel, the demons, to the point to where the human host has died off. Be equivalent to watching The Exorcist and the little girl Regan actually dies, and the demonic entity that has got a hold of her body, wreaking havoc, lives. So Regan's running around, shaking the bed, throwing priest all over the room, and Regan's dead. It's that simple. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Love you very much. Ask questions anytime. That's what I'm here for.